start. Keep it facing away from the mic so there's no feedback.
Yeah.
Oh, did you really? Yeah. So I know you did. I asked too, and I just saw him too. I just saw Bill. Oh, he's a lefty. He's retired. I worked for him many years. Wonderful. Hard to go. Yeah. How long have you been? Do you know how to sit?
I've been at Mitzvah for Shalom before.
Oh, you work at Mindy?
Yes, I worked under Mindy and
Good job. Yes. This is my mom. I'm sorry. How are you? Yeah, and over there younger generation.
they're pretty though. I was one
Okay, so do we.
and I go for
I would park in the area. Like
I
for
go
Barn
for
Kimball's.
I go for walk. I go walk here one day. I really are.
Organize yourself.
The history of my
No, he's the cantor. He's the
Cancer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had Rabbi Amy Tucker, who was there for a while, but probably I'll knock this guy off this.
You can knock me off. Take the chair.
Okay, sweetie.
Take the chair. How are you?
Okay.
Watch the carpets flipped up. Yes, sir. You don't want water? Maybe scotch?
Except that one.
If I may have your attention, please. We're about to begin the service. We will ask that no one please stand in front of the camera as we are live streaming the service today. If you're standing on this side, perhaps you'd like to move over on this side before we begin. I'll ask that everyone please take a moment to turn your cell phones to their silent mode before we begin. Conducting our service today is Rabbi Michael Sommer.
The act of Kriya is as old as biblical times. When a loved one died then, they would literally tear their clothing and pour ash upon their head. The act has come forward as a ribbon a mourner wears on their lapel to show a tear in their life so that all friends and family may approach them with sympathy. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam dayan hamet. Blessed be the Lord our God, judge of of truth. The psalmist in those words wrote long ago, I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and coming now and forever. A poet wrote, what is the measure of a man? His measure is the kind words people say when he isn't there, and the memories he creates that stay indelible in the minds of all who knew him. What is the measure of a man? It is the amount of love he leaves in people's hearts and the laughter he leaves upon people's lips. What is the measure of a man? It is the length of time he's remembered, his good deeds and his kind words. Measured in the length of years, stories of his best moments and loving kindness get told by family and loved ones alike. Merrill Manchik lived an incredible life, surrounded by the people he loved the most in the world. Merrill made it his life work to leave the world a better place than he found it, and to help anyone in need. Living an incredible 84 years is an accomplishment. Merrill worked hard his whole life and accomplished everything he set out to do in love, work, friendship, and family. Today we celebrate Merrill's life while mourning his death and absence. Son of Samuel and Matilda of blessed memory, husband for over 40 years of his beloved Maxine of blessed memory, father of Howard and Craig and his wife Allison, loving grandfather of Grayson, Jackson, Maxwell, Maxine, and Michael, and his favorite four-legged family member Molly. We are blessed with the lives we share. May Merrill's memory always be a blessing as we celebrate the memory of his life. A poet wrote, fight my fight, dry your tears and pick up the mantle I've left you. Fight my fight for those in need and for those who never had a me to share their lives. Fight my fight by caring for the stranger, the sick, the silent, the victim, the child, the one who has no one else to come to their side and defend them from the world. Fight my fight because it is the right thing to do. Take my love for you and share it with the rest of the world in hopes of filling it up with a love so big that you can find every person in the world standing by your side as a defender of all that is good. May you all fill the world with the light of all I've always tried to share with every person I've known or loved. My hand may not be in yours, but know that my spirit lives in your heart, and my light can never be extinguished as long as memories of me give you the strength you need to fight my fight. The birds made popular these ancient words of Ecclesiastes when they sang that there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. And now is the time we speak of Merrill's life as he called his son Howard to speak about his father.
Thank you for coming. Anybody who knew my dad, anybody my dad had a relationship with, it was a special relationship. He was a dynamic guy, and he really knew how to make people feel loved and cared for and, part of. Later in life, these last few years, he's really gotten a chance to enjoy the grandchildren. We spent a tremendous amount of time there, all five of them. One time, Maxine was laying on his lap, and she looked around at the four boys and looked up at my dad and said, "I'm the favorite, right? I gotta be." But they would spend time watching Tom and Jerry together. They would spend time he just loved being with them. And towards the end, my son Michael would help him pick his bets for the pool. He was very close with them. He just really, I mean, it was beautiful that he had the opportunity to get to know him and spend time along with Craig's kids at the pool. We just had so many wonderful memories over these last few years. It's just good things to remember. Thank you all for coming. I know you truly love each and every one of you. Thank you.
I call up Craig to talk about his father.
I took notes. I don't think I'm going to need them. My dad, Merrill Hersch Manchik, was my best friend. A guy I could always go to for advice and counsel. And he would generally yell at me at first, but then advise me appropriately and follow through. When I was on trial from June 28th to December 10th, and every night I'd leave the house to leave my office to go home and shower and get some fresh clothes. He insisted I call him so he could talk me home every night, whether it was 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. He wanted the call, wanted to talk me and make sure I got home. That's the kind of man we're talking about. My consigliere, always available to help and advise. 84 was way too short for this man. Some of you may or may not know really how wise he was. He was not the kind of a guy that liked to stand out in a crowd or make himself the center of attention. But over the last few years, he and I really got to know each other well, especially on Sundays where we get together for a football game or a baseball game or watch the golf tournament, and then of course order Michael's skirt steak with extra gravinace onions, and they always had the best cheese fries with the cheddar and teriyaki sauce. My dad had many friends, and friends that have departed. Those remaining that in his recent late years that were quite close with him include David Miller, Stan Lerner, the Honorable Richard Bobby Gordon, Charles Romaker, Dan Rosenbaum, Archie Turk, Norm Diamond, Brenda Zaidman, my Auntie Brenda, and some of you may or may not realize what a bull and a strong man he was, and he has so many other friends that he was so close to that did not make it to this point in life. Jerry Zaidman, Alvin Siegel, Gilbert Gordon, Bob Natowski, JJ, Fat Herbie, he insisted we call him Fat Herbie, Les Kipnis, Seymour Vishny, Nate Swardlove. My beloved Susan, the dog that while my dad was eating in bed used to sit on his belly, and it was a big spot on his belly, as we all know. And my late dogs, Clovis and Tigress. A few more names from the card game or other gambling exhibits. Calvin Siegel, Cal Gordon, Norm Leibovitz, Bob Ginsberg, Artie Jacobson, and all the relatives he left behind. I feel blessed and honored that Merrill Manchik was my father. Some of you know him better than others, but if I didn't receive at least 3 calls a day, I knew there was something wrong with his health. And he had these tremendous lengthy battles with AT&T, and he calls so proud that he saved $5 for 3 hours. But it was a total moral victory for him. And that's what he was about, principle. He was a man of principle. There's a gentleman here named Roman who has become very, very close to our family, was my dad's caregiver for many years, will always be a family member to us. We've all lost one of the greatest men on this earth. Forgive and forget Merrill, as we call him. Dearest to me, the things that stand out most to me are the way he loved my mother, and if, as most of you may recall, the way they danced at all the weddings and bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, that strange way that they put their face together, and Howard and I would turn away in shame. But that's called true love. He had the love of his life as a wife. Sundays picking our games, and my brother and his son and my sons. He was always there for us, no matter what. My dad gave me some specific instructions how he wanted things to be handled on his passing. And I want you to know, Dad, I have followed through with every single one, and will continue to follow through with everyone, because I know you're watching, and I know you're with my mother, watching together. So, when I first became a lawyer, my dad sat me down and he wanted me to understand the core values of what a lawyer is. And I never forgot those. And he'd make me recite them by rote. Honesty above all. Be fearless. Determined. Be myself. Be independent. Be respectful to all. Persevere in the face of disparity. My dad grew up in a different time. It was the Second World War. Anti-Semitism was rampant. My dad was a fighter. And since my brother and since I can remember, one of my first memories is my brother and I jumping up and down on the bed, saying, I'm rough and I'm tough and nothing can ever take me. My dad was proud to be a Jew, and I'm proud to be a Jew. We are Manchiks. We persevere. We don't back down from a fight. We don't get backed into a corner. We set a true compass, and we see it through to the end. remember Stanley getting us lost in the middle of the ocean. We're at the Bahamas after hitting a couple coral reefs, and we had one propeller blade left. It took us about 9 hours to get to shore. Spending time in the holidays at the fountains. Spending time at Turnberry, which is Aventura, Florida, with my Uncle Stanley. In closing, I know he's watching above. And I know he's with my mother. And he finally is reunited with the true love of his life. And everybody who's been to his house since my mom passed away knows that her wedding picture was directly on the wall to his left. And he would refer to her when he would be mad at us. I love you, Dad. I thank you for everything you've given to me, my brother, our families, and all the people here that departed, and all your friends. Be well.
Merrill was born in Chicago at Michael Reese Hospital. He grew up in Logan Square and then West Rogers Park, where he graduated from Roosevelt High School. When he walked home from school, some other kids would call him a dirty Jew, and he'd go after all of them. As he said, he never backed down. He had no quit in him his whole life. He fought for righteousness in the world. He graduated from Roosevelt University and DePaul Law School. Merrill did not have an easy time of it at DePaul, where the administration tried to convince him to drop out and attend a different law school due to his grades. All this did was convince Merrill to work day and night, to dig deeper, work harder, and study more, until he graduated from DePaul Law School just as he planned. After falling in love with Maxine and dating for a time, he gave Maxine her engagement ring right before he took the bar exam. He took a break, came home to her house to give her the ring, gave her a kiss, and went back to study. Upon passing the bar exam, Merrill immediately opened his own practice with Sam Glickman, working together until 1987, and then he became a partner at Marks, & Kaplan. He had one main client at the time, yet loved to help everybody. He'd do pro bono work and dedicated a lot of time to help those who needed him most. It was never about the money for him. It was always about helping people. Craig and Howard, you remembered when a friend's sister came to your house, your dad wasn't sure about having her sign the papers until she was comfortable. He was a man for the people. He lived and worked blind to color, race, or creed, and raised his kids the same way. Craig, your dad was so proud when you graduated cum laude and summa cum laude from undergrad and then law school. So proud of you both. Merrill was such a special guy. Everyone that met him loved him. You both talked about your dad, how he loved your mom more than anything else in the world. It's the greatest love affair of the 20th century. Brenda, you remembered when Maxine died, it hit Merrill so hard. Maxine always took such good care of him, cutting up his meat, deboning his fish. We weren't sure he could take care of a meal by himself, but he persevered. But it wasn't easy. Brenda and Jerry were closest friends with Maxine and Merrill for over 60 years. They stood up at their wedding. Merrill kept his high school friends his whole life. He kept any friend he made. The entire Zaidman clan loved Merrill's fabulous sense of humor. He was such a big jokester. The whole Zaidman family loved him, especially all the grandkids. Everyone loved being included on the breakfast outings. When Merrill and Jerry, of blessed memory, always had a standing Wednesday night date, hanging out for as many years as they could. Craig, you talked about how your dad, of course, loved golf, even though he was never very good at it. Horrible, in fact. Yet he went golfing 4 times a week. And the two of you always loved when your dad took you golfing with him since you were 6 or 7. A special time those years of playing together. He'd take you to the village green dog track and you'd play in the cow pasture. You all remembered so many family vacations to the Bahamas, Miami, always driving down to Florida because flying was too expensive. You all spent a lot of time driving there in the car in your 1976 Chevy wagon. You all would drive everywhere for vacation, always stopping along the way. Merrill took care of everyone in the family, uncles, aunts, He'd never leave their side. He'd be their legal and health advocate, caring for anyone in the family, any friends until the end, as long as they needed him. Frank, you spoke of your dad being a legend in your eyes. You remembered how he took both of you to the beach and taught you how to drive when you were 5 or 6 years old. Because every 5 or 6 year old should know how to drive. He loved being a grandfather. Loved all of you grandkids so much, even if Maxine was his favorite. He just loved watching you bring light into the world, the next generation, watching you grow and thrive. He'd almost never send a bill when he worked for a friend on a case. It wasn't his way. It meant a lot to give his time, to give his expertise, to take care of those he loved the most. In living, we all try to make the world a better place. We try to make a difference wherever we go. Merrill made a difference in all of your lives. We always remember the best of him, in his strength and health. May his memory always be a blessing, because he was such a blessing in all of your lives. The poet Merritt Malloy once wrote, "When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old people who wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother and sister walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not on your mind. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away." We turn together in the pamphlet and read the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We rise for El Malei Rachamim, the memorial prayer. El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromi, Amse Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Torim, Kezohar Kemasiri, Ed Nishmat Merrill Ben Shmuel Matilda, Shalach Lolamo, Bal Rachmim Yasterehu, Setu Kanafav Lolamim, Vitor Vitor HaChaim En Nishmato, Adonai Hu Nachlato, Ve'anuach B'Shalom, Al Mishkavo V'Namar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Merrill Manchik, son of Matilda and Samuel, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence in the shadow of your wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. We continue in the pamphlets with the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra cherotei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'maru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, Vitadar, Vitale, Vitalal, Shemei, Dikudisha, Barichu, Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechamata, Damiran be'alma v'maru, Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'maru, Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Yamko Yisrael, Yevaru, Amen. May God grant peace to those who mourn and comfort all our bereaved as we say together, Amen. You may be seated. In a moment, they're going to begin lowering and vaulting the casket. Let earth from Israel inside, an essence of our true home. Let's become accustomed to place 3 scoopfuls of sand or earth into the grave of a loved one to show the intention and devotion to come to this task, which we did not have to do. It is one of the greatest mitzvahs because it's a mitzvah that can never be repaid. We pray silently.
just a moment, everyone will be invited to come forward and participate in the mitzvah of burial. It's customary for each person to place 3 measures, 3 shovels of earth into the grave. We also do not pass the shovel from one person to the next. Rather, when you're finished, place the shovel back in or on the mound of earth and let the next person participate of their own volition. You can participate from either side. However, we will be asking that you please be very, very mindful and careful of your footing when you're near the grave. We also have water available if anyone should need some.
gentlemen, the safest and easiest way to exit the cemetery will be to follow in the direction the hearse is faced once it drives out. And then when you get to the end by the pink mausoleum, you'll make a left and there's an open gate there. Please don't try to back up all at once. Go out forward and to the left, please. Thank you.
I was trying to get to you, and then you came this way, so I'm so glad.
Wow, hi. Nicole, hi. Nice to meet you. Look at your hair. Look at you. It's so cute. Actually, which one do you want? Yeah.
Becoming a hippie.
Yeah.
You still a Cubs fan?
No, I, you know, at 81 was needed for fun.
Hey, why not?
You still go to Cubs games?
Well, Cardinals.
Okay, no Cardinals. All right. I was a Cubs fan when I saw you there.
That's right. When you got us parking too.
Yep,
and,
you were right. You got a good memory.
But,
You're right.
the Cardinals playing Jupiter, so I get to go
that's
to
nice.
free,
Nice. Very cool Cardinals. Yeah. Nice to see you, brother. Nice to see you guys. I am. Are you going?
Yeah.